let's get started. Welcome to the spring showcase from the Speech and Debate team. We appreciate you being here. We've got a nice little program ahead. Everybody should have one of these programs, right? So first, let's start out with the basics that you need to know. First basic, you should turn off your cell phone if you have a cell phone that is on, right? And with that, what we'll do is we're going to introduce the coaching staff, first of all. So my name's Steve Graham. I'm the Director of Forensics here at Delta. Thank you. I appreciate that. And along with me, I coach most of the platform events. So for those of you that are in the speech Com 1A courses right now, you're informative, persuasive, after dinner speeches, stuff like that. Our next coach, Coach Kathleen Bruce. The one that's all dressed up. Kathleen is our debate coach and our limited prep. She's gonna tell you a little bit more about what that means, debate, limited prep. She's gonna get up here in a couple seconds and describe those events for you. And then we also have fantastic, world-renowned Coach Terry Peterson. He's out at the Mountain House campus. He does the Interp events. Terry, say hello to everybody. I'll be explaining the Interp events for Terry today. Thank you. Okay, so first, let's just get right into it. One of the events we have here is extemporaneous speaking, where the student has 30 minutes to prepare. And so we want to get that person preparing now, right? Because we don't want to say, hey, this is our next speaker, and then they go off and we all sit here for 30 minutes. We don't want to do that. So we're going to get that person started prepping right now. But introducing that is Professor Bruce. She's going to tell you about the event and hand out the topic for that. Okay, Professor Bruce.
We do limited preparation speeches on the team and in competition. There's two types, impromptu and extemporaneous. I'll only get into the one that you guys will be seeing today by James, our competitor. An extemporaneous speech is done by you get an option of 2 questions. You're usually given 2 questions to choose from, and it has to do something with the current events. And we have something that's called an extemporaneous tub, where we have a bunch of newspaper articles that we kind of add to every week, and they have 30 minutes to fully prepare a 7-minute speech with 5 to 10 source citations in it. So it's going to have an introduction, a conclusion, and 2 to 3 main points. So it's a really quickly prepared speech. So this is James Drury. He's our competitor, and he, at last weekend's competition, which was in Hayward, California, he actually got into the final round of extemp, and so we're really proud of him. So he's going to be showing off his extemp skills. So I'm going to give him a question. He's not going to get an option between 2. I'm going to be a little mean on him and just give him 1. And he's then going to go in the back and prepare a 7-minute speech for you guys to hear as the last speech. So the question, are you ready? Is, should the United States move beyond sanctions to deter Iran from making a nuclear weapon? So one more time. Should the United States move beyond sanctions to deter Iran from making a nuclear weapon? Okay, good luck.
How many of you know about that topic? We got a few. All right. We'll see. We're going to ask you later on, how did you do, okay? During the event, we want this to be interactive. So after each of our speakers, we're going to ask you for a little feedback from the audience. Maybe you might have some questions about the event. Our first speaker is going to be talking in the oral interp category. In oral interp, what you do is you take some literature, and depending on the literature, the event is based off of the literature that you draw. So if you draw literature from a prose piece, we call it prose. If it's poetry, we call it poetry. If it's a screenplay or a movie, we call it dramatic interp. So the different categories, and by the way, if you're interested in these interp events that you're going to see, Coach Peterson teaches an interp class in Mountain House, and this is what they do in the interp class. So you too could be on the speech and debate team. You don't have to be on the team if you want to do the class, but you could be doing the interp event. It's an awesome event. I think you're really going to like it. So we're going to start you off with oral interp. The first one's going to be prose interpretation. So this is coming from a book, right? And the prose interpreter, we have Cassandra Sinclair. At this past weekend, not only was it just this past weekend's tournament, but it was the NorCal tournament, so it was the championship for NorCal. Now, when we compete at tournaments, we don't just compete against other community colleges, we compete against four-year schools as well. So San Francisco State is one of the best four-year schools in the country, and at this past tournament for the NorCal championship, Cassandra took second place, right? Second place, which is pretty nice. And so we're going to start out with a prose piece from Cassandra Sinclair.
We stand right here. As I walked past the playground on my way downtown Tucson, I overheard two girls teasing a third. Jake and Ella sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G. First comes love, and then comes marriage, and then comes a baby in a baby carriage. I shake my head and wonder and think, as I often do, this would never happen in Iran. None of it. 9-year-old girls do not shout gleefully in playgrounds. They do not draw attention to themselves. They do not go to school with boys. And they do not sing of sitting in tree with boys or kissing or producing babies. In the Islamic Republic of Iran, there is nothing innocent about a moment such as this. First comes love, then comes marriage. A childhood chant, the cultural expectations. Americans believe in falling in love with every fiber of their being. Certainly a prerequisite for marriage, a birthright. But in the Islamic Republic of Iran, marriages are often still negotiated between families with a business-like quality. That is our culture. That is our future. Inescapable for most girls. Inescapable it began, even for me. According to womanenews.org, Iranian law requires women to cover up their hair, entire bodies, and to wear loose-fitting clothing whenever they're out in public. Dress code violations are met with flogging, arrest, and imprisonment. Iranian women have very few career opportunities or any kind of economic self-sufficiencies. In the novel Veil of Roses by Laura Fitzgerald, Tammy Saraish experiences extreme culture shock when she's introduced to the American lifestyle. I braced myself and peeled back the next layer of tissue paper. Could it be? It was a passport for me. There was also a one-way airplane ticket out of Iran to Turkey, from where I would obtain my visa, my ticket to the country of my parents' dreams. He'd done it. My father was saving me. He was sending me to America. I'm on an airplane, leaving my hometown behind. When the pilot announces we have left Iranian airspace, a cheer breaks out. Women unbuckle the belt and stand. They look around. They yank off their headscarves and run their fingers through their hair. They've done it. They have left Iran, and the future is now theirs to make of it what they will. I am so excited for this day. I'm only a little afraid. I am wearing the watch Miriam gave to me as a present when I first arrived. I'm also wearing a University of Arizona sweatshirt, which is good because I'll be walking through the campus today to get to my English class. I'm also wearing new jeans and new boots with 2 inches. But more important is what I don't have on. No hijab. I take one last look in the mirror and practice my laugh yet again. Americans laugh loud and are open-mouthed. I still can't bring myself to be loud about it, but I now show off my teeth. Like Julia Roberts does in the movies. I can hardly describe how I feel on this. My first outing alone. I could barely keep from crying in excitement. This is me, finally. My route to school, my air to breathe, my life to make of it what I will. Eva wears a short skirt and thigh-high boots and claps around with this sexual confidence I know I can never match. Nor do I want to. Nor do I want to swear like her either. But I love it when she does. It sounds so bold. Like a sailor, she knows every curse word and slang term and uses them often. She's a girl who pushes things into exciting territory. Man, y'all are wide-eyed about everything that I am tempted to make it my personal responsibility to correct you. I would very much enjoy being your friend, but as far as corrupting me, well, I'm not so sure that's possible. Have you ever gotten drunk? I have drunk homemade beer, yes, but in Iran, alcohol, it is not legal. Man, y'all are repressed. Man, why do you keep calling me man? Slang, thought you should get used to it. Another popular thing to say is, girlfriend, like, girlfriend, check out that fine dude. Oh, okay. This is all I ever wanted in Iran. The freedom to laugh loudly in public without fear of my world coming to an end. Earth to Tammy, you're a million miles away and all you've left is a dopey smile on your face. I was just thinking what a great day it'd be in Iran if we were suddenly allowed to mix men and women together. You know, in Iran, women can't even look at men. It is considered fornication of the eye. Fornication of the eye? Fornication of the eye? Oh, baby, fornicate my eye. I'm glad she finds it funny. However, I cannot laugh. I am reminded of poor Taf Rajabi of Mecca, who was very recently found guilty of a similarly absurd crime, acts incompatible of chastity. Poor Taf was hung from a crane for 45 minutes in public view, while the man involved received 100 lashes and was released. The judge personally ordered her lifeless body to hang there for 45 minutes as a message to other girls. This could happen to you. You know why I quit teaching in Iran? I couldn't do the ceremonies anymore. Every time I had to help a girl get ready, it made me sick for days. Every time a girl turns 9, our school officials hold a ceremony for her. It was my job to prepare her. I was to cover up their bodies in these white hijabs. I was to tell them to listen carefully to the religious man at the ceremony, who would tell them, from this day on, you can no longer laugh too loudly. And from this day on, you must cover up anytime you in public, anytime you in front of man. And from this day on, you can no longer run about freely. And from this day on, you can no longer play with boys other than your brother. I hated it. Every time I wrapped those hijabs around them, I felt I was smothering whatever was special about them, whatever hopes, whatever dreams they had. Thank you, Baba John. Thank you, Mama John, for giving me this chance to be happy. I whispered this in the wind, confident my words will make their way home.
You guys stay out. You guys stay out with us. Come on. Okay, now what we want to do is answer some of your questions you may have about that event. So, who's got some questions for us about that event? Rather than me telling you all about the event. Question.
Huh? Was I talking? Yeah. it was both me, all of it.
What does that mean? Was she really talking? What do you mean by that? Yes. The hard part, the more characters that you have, the harder that it is, right? Because you have to become different people. So did you see the different characters? Right? It's more complex the more characters that they have. So yes, that was definitely her. When she closed her binder, you know how we have the little binder? When the binder's open, that means that you're in character, you're in the literature. When the binder's closed, that's her talking.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay.
So how do you prepare for like a skit like that? Because it seems like you're challenged between a lot of characters and you just do it like instantaneously. So how do you prepare for something like that?
Let me say that first. He asked, how do you prepare for that? It seems like you're flawlessly moving between characters. So how do you prepare for that event?
Well, first we'll practice, and I had to, like my friend, she's from the Middle East, and I did not know how to speak like with an accent, and I tried my best, you know. She went through like the whole little script for me, and she wrote it down phonetically for me to like pronounce every word, and I practiced with her. So, you know, I did my best, and the other accent, it was, you know, she's from Arizona, but she's from like Texas originally, and so I had to come up with another accent so then they know it's different. So yeah, just practicing it, you know, just becomes second nature. Yeah.
And when you say you had to practice, are we talking 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or?
No. No, it's just, well, going over it each time, and it's 10 minutes long, my script, my speech, so going over it a few times, so going over it 5 times, like 50 minutes, so about an hour, and you know, in front of like people, like friends, and I really had help with one of the guys on the speech team, Branche, he helped me. He's really good at acting and all that stuff, so he really helped me like get an actual character, because at first, you know, I was reading it more of just like, you know, like putting, you know, just kind of like reading it with like emotions and whatnot, but he helped me like really develop a character, and so, you know, it's all about developing a character and whatnot.
So if you're in a speech class and you're doing a speech, you would recommend actually practicing before you delivered that speech.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just go up the first time and deliver the speech that you wrote the night before, right? You wouldn't do that? Okay, just making sure.
No, I wouldn't do that.
All right, Cassandra Sinclair, thank you. So speaking of speech class, a lot of our students, and this is our speech and debate team over here. Folks, you want to stand up real quick? Show us why don't you stand up and say hello to everybody? Yeah. Nice jackets. So most of these individuals that are on the speech and debate team came from a speech class. It wasn't they just showed up at Delta and all of a sudden they knew what they were doing. They all had to learn how to do this, right? So most of them are from a COM 1A, a COM 2 class, and now they're in our COM 52 class. So if you enjoy what you're seeing here today, think about joining the team. And speaking about joining the team, our next speaker is going to be doing the persuasive speech. Myra Carrillo comes from our summer COM 1A class. And in speech and debate, there's different levels of competition. When I talk about different levels, there's a novice level. So if you came into the speech and debate team, you would not compete against people who have been doing this for a while. That wouldn't be fair, would it? It'd be kind of nerve-wracking competing against somebody who's a pro at this. So you come at the novice level, and then you work your way up to the open level. So Myra has just now moved up to the open level. She came in as a novice level, now she's open level. There's always room for improvement. So we keep improving, move up levels, and she's hoping to make the state and national team. So with a persuasive speech about the crocodile jug, Myra Carrillo.
Lighter fluid, industrial cleaning oil, iodine, and codeine. This is what Sasha carries in her purse. These are the ingredients needed for her new addiction, desomorphine, or as is known on the street, the crocodile drug. Sasha and her roommate have only been using this drug for a couple of months, yet they already have its signature trademark, rotting sores. The drug gets its name, crocodile, because the rotting flesh looks like the skin of a crocodile. Sasha says that she is lucky because her neighbor down the street has rotting flesh falling off her body. According to a study done by the National Institute on Drug Abuse in 2003, more than 3.7 million Americans have used heroin at least once, and more than half of them are currently addicted to it. In Russia, 1 out of 50 people are addicted to heroin, and because of the global recession, they could no longer afford to purchase the drug. So they're now relying on the homemade drug Crocodile. While this drug is currently devastating heroin addicts in Russia, it is expected to make its way to the US and into your neighborhood, unless we do something about it. Today, we will talk about the need for a global ban on the non-prescription sale of codeine, which is the main ingredient for the Crocodile drug. First, we will discuss how the Crocodile drug addiction starts. Then, we'll explore some of the horrific effects it has on the human body. And finally, I will offer a global and national solution to this problem. So, let's first find out about how the Crocodile drug addiction starts by looking at ground zero in Russia. There are millions of people addicted to drugs, but in times of economic crisis, they try to find low-cost alternatives. These alternatives are many times much worse than the actual drug they were using. The United States has already seen this phenomenon before in the 1970s and 80s when methamphetamine addicts found a cheaper way to make this drug. Instead of buying it, they would make it in home labs. We can see the same phenomenon occurring today, but in Russia, with heroin addicts. The homemade version of heroin is Crocodile. According to Truth Frequency News website, last updated August 25th, 2011, more than 1 million Russians are addicted to this new drug. Crocodile was discovered in 2002, but in recent years, there's been a dramatic increase in its use due to the bad economy. Codeine is the key ingredient needed to make this drug, and unfortunately, it can easily be accessed in any pharmacy in Russia, and it's even available in Canada without a prescription. In most Russian pharmacies like Pharmacore, you can buy codeine for about $3 a pack, compared to buying heroin for $25 a bag, and thus, the drug of choice for the addicts is Crocodile. So, for a few dollars, an addict can purchase codeine, use some of the ingredients already found in their homes, and simply cook up some Crocodile. According to an article on the independent newspaper website, last accessed January 30th, 2012, a Russian woman explains how she was addicted to heroin. She ran out of money, and so she turned to the cheaper alternative, Crocodile. The woman was quickly able to go to her local pharmacy, was able to buy codeine, and cooked up some Crocodile. We know that the use of this drug is at epidemic levels, so let's dismantle some of the devastating effects it has on the user. The effects of the Crocodile drug occur both externally and internally. The external effects are quite easy to see. When the Crocodile drug is injected into the veins, the drug is too toxic, and it causes the blood vessels to literally burst. The skin and muscles develop gangrene, and eventually, the tissue begins to die. Dr. Ellen Marmer, from the Chief of Dermatological Surgery at the Mount Sinai Medical Center, explains how dead flesh can literally fall off the body. Seen in this picture. All that is left is the bone. Dr. Ellen Marmer says that she is worried that because the United States is in an economic crisis, the Crocodile drug will hit our streets. According to an article on Time magazine website, with every dose of the Crocodile drug that a person takes, it takes away a year of their life. And this is because the ingredients of the Crocodile drug have to be filtered by the body. Iodine disrupts the endocrine system and causes muscular disorders. The heavy metals sometimes found in the ingredients of the Crocodile drug cause immediate nervous and immune system damage. In the same article by Time magazine, a young woman by the name of Irina Pavlova explains how she was addicted to heroin for many years. But codeine was easier and cheaper to acquire. Irina does not understand how she survived 6 years as an addict to the Crocodile drug. Even though she survived, she is left with permanent brain damage. Irina now has a speech impediment and a vacant gaze. The house manager at the rehab facility she is currently recovering in says that Irina's motor skills were also affected. When Irina tries to walk forward, many times she will take a step back. We know that the effects of the crocodile drug are devastating, which is why we need an immediate solution to this problem. There are two possible solutions that can stop the crocodile drug from making its way to the United States and into your neighborhood. The first solution would be to support the Global Commission on Drug Policies. The main goal of this organization is to bring to the international level an informed and science-based discussion of humane and effective ways to reduce the harm caused by drugs to people and societies. All we have to do is contact the United States Representative, George Shultz. We need to let him know that we support the ban on the over-the-counter sales of codeine, as we do not want the crocodile drug to hit our streets. By supporting the Global Commission on Drug Policies, they can pressure Russia to stop the over-the-counter sales of codeine as soon as possible. Countries closer to home also have to be pressured. According to the Food and Drug Administration website, updated daily, Canada sells codeine over the counter. So you see, there's no point for the US to sell codeine by prescription only if all a person has to do is take a drive up to Canada. The second solution would be to regulate the amount of codeine that the United States manufactures. According to the most recent report completed in 2008 by the International Narcotics Control Board, revealed that the United States manufactures 81.5 tons of codeine, making it really inexpensive to obtain. The International Narcotics Control Board also revealed that the US only needs to manufacture 22.6 tons of codeine to meet its own needs. But clearly, we far exceed that amount. Our country needs to regulate the amount of codeine it produces before the crocodile drug reaches our own youth. Today, we talked about the dangerous crocodile drug. First, we looked at how the crocodile drug addiction started. Then, we explored the horrific internal and external effects it has on a user. And finally, I offered a solution where all of us can support the over-the-counter sales of codeine, as well as calling for the United States to cut its production of codeine. All of us have to support these solutions before the crocodile drug reaches our own communities. We have over 1 million heroin addicts in the United States. And if they, like Sasha, choose the cheaper crocodile drug, we're going to have over 1 million walking zombies. We have to support the ban on the over-the-counter sales of codeine before the United States is bit by the crocodile.
Ira?
Thank you.
Okay, so I messed up on the visual aid. Sorry about that.
What did he do?
Yeah, I messed up. During competition, your coaches don't sit there and do visual aid stuff. And this is why, because we don't know what we're doing. Normally, they'll have their VA set up and they control all that. So I apologize. Sorry about that. But you didn't even know, did you?
No, I knew because people were laughing.
Okay, great. So, are there any questions about that persuasive speech?
How did you even find out about the crocodile drug?
Online and just with the help of a coach here. Just looking through Time magazine, that's where I got it from, and then online we got these really cool pictures too.
Yeah, topic selection is probably the most important thing in speech competition because nobody wants to hear about topics they hear about every single day. So if there's a topic that you already know about, it's not a good topic. So it's really hard to find good topics. So we're always on the lookout. Every once in a while in the Com 1A class, I'll steal a topic. Somebody actually in my Com 1A class told me about this. I was like, ooh, cool topic. Hey, guess what? We got a cool topic for you. So, oh, you must know everything. Yeah, I do. So it's pretty cool when students give us topics. But normally places like if you're in a Com 1A class right now, you want to find topics, NPR always has really cool topics, the latest and greatest, National Geographics, Nova Science. So all these really, PBS is just overall a great place to find cool and unique topics.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question about the persuasive? Yes? Yes, we have a lot of Time magazines, not only for the cool topics, but mostly for the debate people, because they need to know what's going on in the world with Iran and Afghanistan, all that fun stuff. So yes.
He has a question.
Do you have a photographic memory? How do you memorize that whole speech?
That's probably the number one question, right? How do you memorize a 10-minute speech?
Nobody caught the stumbles. Just practice, a lot of practice. Read it, reread it, read it, keep reading it. And after you're done doing that, you read it again, just have it memorized, and just keep saying it over and over. Oh, and you should tape yourself, hear yourself doing it while I'm sleeping, and put it under my pillow. I'm not even playing around, I did this. Listen to it while I'm sleeping. Yeah, 24/7 crocodile drug. Yeah.
In the shower, everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
How many times do you have to practice before you basically have it in your head and you know the dust over?
Oh, it took me a while. I mean, we did the first competition in September, and maybe by December I had it 100% memorized, polished. You know, I mean, it's not the same from the beginning to now. You find different stuff you can add, take out, but I mean, it's not like, oh, from one day to another, you have a really cool topic, you write it and you memorize it. No, it takes a lot of practice.
How many times do you practice before you don't really need your cards?
I don't, it took me a while. I don't know,
The
it
note
just
cards,
depends.
usually what happens is they know the speech and they still have the note cards right here
Oh, yeah.
as a security blanket. So actually getting rid of the note
Yeah.
cards is a mental thing. It's not, that's what it is. It's just mental.
At one of the competitions, a judge, I went up and did this speech. I took my note cards, but I didn't even use them, and he docked me off because I had my note cards in my hand, even though I didn't use them. They're like a safety net, just to have them there. You want to look, even though you don't use them. Just get off the note cards. That's what you have to do.
They know the note cards.
Yes.
Like, could you talk about like bats or like
The question is, are the topics limited? I mean, could you talk about bats, noodles, peanut butter jelly sandwiches?
Technically, you could, but I don't know if the judge is going to like that over something that's new they have never heard about. I mean, this is a persuasive speech, so obviously there has to be some type of problem. If there's no problem, then what's the point of, or if there's already a solution to it, and it has to be something new, something different.
Right, you can talk about anything you want to talk about. I mean, the topic is you. But the problem with that is when you come up here and then all these people from San Francisco State have all these really cool topics that you never heard of, and then you go up and talk about something everybody knows, it's actually kind of embarrassing because you're, oh, wow, these guys are really good.
Yeah.
So you want to have a really good topic. Okay, Myra, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You take that. All right, our next speaker is doing another oral interp event, and Tarika, that was her cue. Ah. Tarika is doing it's a prose, right?
Yeah.
You doing the Watcher?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have another prose piece for you. Tarika is one of those that's also moving from novice to open. And at the last competition that we did, I read her ballots, and all of her ballots said just a few more little tweaks, and this is going to be fantastic. So, we want to show you the different levels, right? This is an intermediate level, which I'm hoping today, I'm sure it's going to dance because amazing. Okay, Tarika.
I've always try to do what's right. It's part of my community duty and my duty to God. But I tell you right now, you don't never get a thanks for nothing you do. Have you ever been so caught up and intrigued in other people's business that you failed to realize was going on inside of your own home? Have you ever been wrapped up in making sure that your neighbor's grass was cut on time, that their trash was put in a proper place, or that their dog got poop on your side of the sidewalk? But you don't realize what's going on inside of your own home. In this prose, the watcher, we must be pillars of our own homes before we can be pillars of our community. The Watcher by J. California Cooper. I've always try to do what's right. It's a part of my community duty and my duty to God, but I tell you right now, you don't never get a thanks of nothing you do. I ain't fear nobody but God and white folks. God, because He is the boss. Yes. And white folks, because they run this world. They don't know what they do, and it don't make no sense. You ever watch those shows, Law and Order, where they use those long words and those short sentences and ain't said nothing themselves? Used to be. That woman lived across the street from me. She had a different man in her house every month. She got mad at me because I told the minister about all those different men. Now I'm doing my duty and she got mad at me. I told her that somebody had to be the pillar of the community, and if it had to be me, then so be it. And she told me that I was the pillar of the community and a lot of other things. And you know what? I told the minister that too. And pretty soon she was leaving. Good, because I likes me a clean community. Now I go to those places where people park in the dark, making sure that my daughter's where she was supposed to be. And I seen this car just bouncing around in the night. It looked like that man car. So I said, maybe he's sick or something. Maybe I need to do my duty as a human being and see if he needs my help. But when I walked up to that window and shined my flashlight, I ain't seen nothing but booty flying all over the place, child. Woo! He wasn't sick. Had enough strength to cuss me out and call me all type of names. Me, a religious woman. So I went straight home to ease my heart. And I did my duty, and I told his wife, yep, this man got all these babies at home and he out trying to make some more babies? Some people. Oh yeah, I have my troubles too. My daughter had to go to the hospital. Seems like she tried to abortion herself right back there in her room. And I didn't even notice. And when she was about to die, her daddy took her to the hospital. Now you see, those nights when I go up making sure that she is where she was supposed to be. So when I got home, she was already at the hospital. So I had to rush down to the hospital. And when she got better, I asked her, when you get time to make that baby, how did it happen? And she said, in her room. In her room. Now I be out trying to do my errands of mercy, trying to protect her, and this is what she does to me? Now my son, he ain't give me no trouble at all. He was always in his room just sleeping or reading. He worked part-time, went to the high school. He'll visit every now and then, but he was in no trouble at all. Now, about that time, there was this couple on the other side of me. They was always doing poor with money, and the wife worked down at that insurance company downtown. I seen she was buying some new clothes, going out the house looking all pretty. I knew it was something wrong somewhere. She was getting herself a new man. So I transferred my insurance company over to where she worked. And I would see her from time to time with a pencil and a pad in her hand, but that pencil and pad ain't fooled me. She'd take those men in the room and close the door. Close the door, child. I know what she was doing. Now my daughter tell me, before she left, I ain't paid her no attention. I ain't paid her no mind. But I know that I'm a good mother. And God don't like ugly. And she be back needing me soon. Now about that time, it was the worst thing. It was a woman that lived directly across the street from me. I guess she was a nice enough looking woman. She wasn't married. She was always looking nice and going to work. So I stayed to watch in her house. I wish that I could be two people so I can watch the front and the back of her house. My mama always told me that I was a steady person, so I stayed steady on my job. My husband be always calling me to come to bed, and I say no. Besides, I knew what he wanted anyway. So after 6 months, I didn't see nothing. So I figured it must have been happening while I was sleeping. So I told my husband to watch as I slept. And you know what happened? They made friends. They started talking. And then everything got interrupted. My son died. My son died. He died of an overdose of heroin. That's what the doctors tell the police. Right back there in that room where he was sleeping or eating. A mother can't see everything now, can she? And as soon as we buried my son, my husband told me that he was going to leave me, that he was filing for divorce. Now, he that man I see coming out that woman's house at night. He told me that they were going to move and that they were going to get married. He kept telling me that they were going to get married. Lord, what must I bear? I've been a good wife and a good mother, and you see where it got me, nothing. But I just got a job to do, that's all, for my community, and leave it to God to judge. I am one of his disciples. I have a miraculous gift, and I know that there is sin somewhere, and I'm going to find it. But now all I do is just sit in my window. Ain't nobody here but me. So all I do now is watch.
Okay, Tarika. Questions for Tarika? Any questions about that piece? Back here. What made you want to pick that type of scenario?
Well, Mr. Branche Tayson, which was mentioned earlier, I acted in plays with him, and he said that he read it and he's seen me in it, and that he know that I can bring that character to life. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What do you believe the moral of that story is?
Well, the moral of the story to me is that we need to pay attention to what's going on in our own homes. A lot of times we worry about everybody else and we don't pay attention to our own children. And a lot of times what I see also is that we blame other people for what's happening to our children. And we say things like, it happened because they was hanging around with such and such. When really, when a parent is not paying attention to their child and they always say, I know my child is not doing something, majority of the time, they are, and they are not being paid attention to, and they're being ignored, and they act out.
One final question.
When you do a dramatic interpretation or prose, or is there a minimum time limit? Are you looking for a certain
Time limit.
Yes.
What is it?
8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, good, yeah. 8 to 10 minutes.
That's my final answer. Yes.
Yes, 8 to 10 minutes, and if you go under or go over, that's not good. You're not going to win. You're not going to do well. So a lot of these pieces in the competitions, they'll come in 9:55, 9:56, 9:57. They're all right where they need to be.
And when I first read it, it was about 11 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's the difference between starting and getting it refined. Okay, one more question. We'll take your question.
Competition, do you get any kind of signals in terms of being able to wrap up?
Do you get time signals in competition? No, you don't. Not for the prepared event. So this is a prepared event. For the limited prep events, you do get time signals because you haven't had a whole lot of time to prep. So you really don't know where you're at in terms of time. So Coach Cat's going to talk about, this is a good segue, into our next event, which was the limited prep event, extemporaneous speaking. So we'll be giving James time signals on that one. Okay, thanks, Tarika. Coach Cat.
We'll just do questions. I kind of explained it, but he had about roughly a little over 30 minutes to prepare the speech. Is he ready? Hopefully he's ready. We can hear him running. Okay, so he had the question, should the United States move beyond sanctions to deter Iran from making a nuclear weapon? That's also known as proliferation. So James, maybe he got freaked out? Is he coming? Yes. Okay, that would be awkward if he didn't. Okay.
Sorry, I got lost. So much going on back there, it's crazy.
James, I'm going to sit right there and give you time to signal.
Okay. The All-American Butt Slap, usually known as a good game from one basketball player to another, or is it? Or maybe it's a romantic affair, someone trying to show their emotion towards another, or is it? Or maybe it's that your kid just for the last time has their hand in the cookie jar, and if you don't pull your hand out and do it again, I'm going to slap you. This brings me to the question. Should the U.S. move beyond sanctions to deter Iran from making a nuclear weapon? My answer is yes. We've seen with history that nuclear war has never been good for society, the lives that it's cost, or even nature, Earth. We'll see this through two separate areas of analysis. First with Iran proliferation, or how they're making their nuclear weapons. And secondly, the U.S. military powerhouse. So to better understand Iran proliferation, we'll talk about two subpoints. The first, with the current tension with Israel, and the second, the current status on Iranian proliferation. According to Jerusalem Post, December 12, 2011, they released an article stating that the fact that Israel was given the Holy Land in 1948 by the UN Security Council has driven the president of Iran mad. Now, for those of you that don't know, after World War II was won, The very select few, the individuals who were on the Security Council of the United Nations, had the power to give the Jews land. So they decided to give them Israel, the Holy Land. According to The Guardian, released on 26th of October 2010, the Iranian president has already stated that Israel should be wiped off the face of the earth. So we can see his intention with his nuclear facilities, that it's not for good. It's not for uranium that could be used for energy. It's used for death. At least that's his intention. My second subpoint is the current status of the Iranian proliferation. According to globalgrind.com, released on February 15, 2012, Israel Intel has informed the U.S. that Iran is building a nuke that could possibly reach 6,300 miles. So let's do some math here. We're 6,300 miles. That's New York. That's the Empire State Building. That's the Statue of Liberty. That's Wall Street. Really, right now, the only thing that's keeping the American economy going. The dot-com bubble's gone. The real estate bubble's gone. And in January 2012, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released that unemployment is at 8.3%, the best it's been in 8 years, but it's still not all that great. What would the world be like if Wall Street was gone? According to France 24 News, just yesterday, they stated that Iran is boasting about their nuclear missile. Clearly, this isn't being an under-the-rug kind of mission. They're going to blow somebody up, and they're going to do it fast. So moving on to my next point, is the U.S. military powerhouse. So to better understand how this correlates with the question, we're going to talk about the current sanctions with on Iran, and then the U.S. moving forward. According to New York Times, released an article on February 15, 2012, the EU and U.S. has imposed an oil embargo on Iran, stating that we're not going to do business with you if you continue with your nuclear program. Well, according to CNN, which released an article just today, Iran says that they're going to find other customers. They're not worried about us. They're not worried about the money. It's the principle of it. It's the idea that they want their land back. Now moving on to my second subpoint is the U.S. moving forward. NPR News released an article on July 6, 2011, stating that the United States has over 2,000 nuclear missiles in comparison to Iran's potential 1. But we've already talked about nuclear missiles and the kind of devastation that they can bring the entire world. Just the ideology of a nuclear bomb is not healthy. So what else do we have? Well, according to DefenseSystems.com, they released an article on May 31st, 2010. The United States has over 7,000 unmanned drones. That means we have the capability to go over there, blow up the bad guys, and we don't have to cost any American lives. This brings me back to the question, should the U.S. move beyond sanctions to deter Iran from making a nuclear weapon? My answer is simply yes. And I've shown to you that nuclear bombs are never a good thing for people, the lives that it costs, or the land that it destroys. And we've seen this through two separate areas of analysis. One with the Iranian proliferation, and the second with the U.S. military powerhouse. So the next time you see your kid, he's got his hand in the cookie jar, don't be afraid to let him know he's not allowed to be
So that was an extemp. Good job, James.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions about a limited preparation speech, like an extemp, or how he did it?
What decision factor do you go with as far as deciding which side you are going to argue with?
So the question summarized is what is how does he decide how he's going to argue, like what position he's going to take in answering the question?
Well, that's a great question. And honestly, I'll just let you know, it's much easier to do an extent as a debater. Because you're able to understand the analysis that you can really argue both sides. So for me, honestly, when I approach a question, I don't necessarily what I've taught into it. It's for me. It's because I have such little time to get as many sources as I can. It's really just whatever the flow of the media is going with, and typically, if I go with whatever the flow of the media is going with, then I can get the judge, convince the judge, because hopefully they're watching the media and the media is convincing them, so I get them too. So, really, it just comes down to it's really your choice to the side, but it's just whatever has the most
citations?
Sources that I can argue with.
Anybody else? So, I think what you're asking is it's not based on a personal opinion, it's based off of what he's reading?
Absolutely. It's not my own personal opinion. I'd give you my personal opinion, but it's not going to get anywhere. So, but really, just what it comes down to is my mentality when I'm approaching the question. When I went back there and started looking at our extent files, it wasn't okay. What do I really think should happen. Like I'm a policymaker, like I can really make something. No, it was, okay, how do I approach the question? Where can I get the quickest and best information from? And how can I word it into into a speech. It's not always going to be like personal opinion on the situation.
That's one of the things they're taught in extent in debate is to kind of take your personal feelings and moralities aside, and you just go with what you can prove. It's really just constructing an argument, and most of the debaters you meet actually don't have a lot of strong opinions because they can see both sides. You have to argue both sides of almost every single issue, and you have to be able to do it. So debaters actually have less opinions than pretty much anybody I know. So,
is anyone thinking about joining? Just to let you know, before practice, the coach pulls out your heart, but they give it back after practice. So it's really okay.
All right, thanks, James. Appreciate it. Good job, buddy. He actually wasn't kidding. We do that a lot. Okay, next up, our final individual event is going to be a poetry interp and Branche Taylor. All right, Branche.
Rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum. Yeah. Rum pa pum, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum. Man, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum, rum pa pa pum, boom. Man, down. Hey, mama, listen. I just shot a man down. Grand Central Station in front of a real big crowd. Listen, I didn't mean to do it. Yo, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it. All rise. Court is now in session. Please stand for the Honorable Judge Smith and Wesson. Ladies and gentlemen, of the jury, I will prove to you in this defendant is guilty of murder beyond reasonable doubt, but my client, the people
asking for execution, merely to have the defendant out from society, because why do we kill people? Prove that it's right to kill people. See, we can't have this menace running our streets, filling the hands and heads of our young men. I want him stashed away, locked up, put away in a box for more than a lifetime. Yo, look, you call me a murderer justifiably so, but I'm not even in control. I mean, I'm loaded into a chamber and aimed at a life. I didn't kill anyone. You did the dirty work, and I was forced to carry out the orders. How do you carry out orders that put young men in their graves, turn breastbones into targets for crooked cops? See, you're just a set on inhibiting the circle of that within this hour, 3 Americans will die due to gun violence. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, in 2010, 31,224 Americans died due to gun violence. In the first 7 years of the war in Iraq, we lost more Americans here due to gun violence than soldiers fighting in that war. When will the federal government recognize that a gun is only as powerful as the finger pulling the trigger, and the time for reform in America is now? In this poetry program, you will see a bullet personified in stand trial, many lives fatally due to gun violence. You will also see how communities react to violence in their homes, in my hood by B. Young, The Bullet by Devontae Harris, Demaris Steen, and the list of Langworthy. And lastly, the account of an innocent bystander shot down in The Stray by Kendrick Taylor. A poetry program. Because within an hour, 3 Americans will die due to gun violence. And the number one killer California is gun violence. Yo, I mean, you can look at me and put it all on me if you want to, but what about the people who pack me, huh? What about the people who do everything? I mean, look at it from my point of view. No, you know nothing about justice, but you assert in transgression. See, you are an assassin. You had the choice to use the safety, but instead you invaded my sister's safety. You barged in and she was scared, so she screamed, and you couldn't tolerate her cries for help. So in order to silence her, you silenced her with your silencer. The warning shot was to the knee, penetrated through her cartilage. She dropped, synchronized with your cartridge. She was just trying to reload breath into her lungs. Yo, man, look, my life, it revolves around a revolver and the ones who spin it. So look, don't try and spin this on me. I mean, if you throw up your hood, I'll come out in a blazing mirage. She was only 11. She had never been squeezed in death's grips the way that her fingers do triggers. That last drop of pride in your body was shot out the barrel. Every part of the ammo left in that clip clips her life apart. That bullet in your chamber pierced the chamber of my sister's heart. So don't you dare sit there and tell me that you're not guilty. When bullets fly, someone's bound to die. When bullets fly, someone's bound to die. When bullets fly, someone's bound to die. Someone's bound to die. Someone's bound to die. A tin hut. Bzzz. See, a good barber, he know his clippers like the streets, in and out and all around. He know what's about to happen before it even go down. It's been about 2 weeks since I seen Rashad. Last time I seen him, he had a pair of them new J's on his feet. Ooh, red and blue lights flashing up the street. I know somebody I know didn't caught that heat. It's them Nikes, that's what it is. Got these kids acting crazy and killing other kids. I bet it was Tyrone. He ain't got no sense. I have no heart to harm, yo, but the hearts behind me, look, they control my movements. I am a puppet, pulling triggers like strings. When can I ever be cut free? Your Honor, allow me to ask the defendant. Were you at the scene of the crime when the crimson colors flooded the sidewalks of his neighborhood? Yeah. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, did you witness firsthand the crippling of the blood and the splattering of the blood of the Crips? Yes. And are you not responsible for the deaths of my client, every one of his color and every other shade that lies sleepless in their graves? No, hell no, you're not going to put that on me. Liar. I object, Your Honor. The defendant, he barged into my house, shot my sister, tried to kill me. Slander, yo. Slander. I object. Order. We will have order in this courtroom. When bullets fly, someone's bound to die. When bullets fly, someone's bound to die. When bullets fly, someone's bound to die. They say a bullet has no name. Yet, I was shot in the heart with a hollow-tip bullet that tore my skin apart. Please, don't shoot. My name is Oscar Grant. It's a goddamn shame what they did to Rashad. I saw his body laying in a pool of blood. It was in the paper, big as day. Article read, young boy shot, all in an attempt to get the shoes he got. Rum pum pum rum pum pum. Man down. I didn't mean to do it, yo. I didn't mean to do it. I don't know why I pulled the trigger. I mean, but I pulled the trigger. Why did I pull the trigger? Case by case, the evidence, it piles up against you. I mean, how do you plead? Yo, how do you believe a defendant who can't speak? Case in point. Let me drop to my knees and cry for forgiveness for all that I've done. And I've done more harm than good, yo. So my question to you then is, why am I still here? Standing up on a stand that I can't even stand up for myself on. My sister, she was just an innocent victim. I mean, what did she ever do to you? I mean, I was an innocent victim. What did I ever do to you? Yo, it's just what bullets do. Truth is, man, look, I am every discriminating police officer, yo. I am every indiscriminate soldier, every nondescript kid who's fucked up community and lack of law enforcement forced them to turn to me. And look, I'm not a criminal or a murderer unless America breeds them. I am the reason why blacks will never be free, why Latino families mourn constantly over caskets as grandmothers grip their rosaries for their lives, why Asian communities are forced to watch their youth become as extinct as tradition. But as long as urban genocide is viewed as an urban problem, yo, as long as cops mistake wallets for guns, as long as bought cops are granted verdicts like Oscars, as long as you do nothing, we do nothing, as long as the silence of our actions is as loud as the gunshots that drip from the tips of pistols, you will always hear from me. How do you plead? Not guilty.
Okay, questions for Branche? Do you see any questions? Donna.
Where did you get the inspiration for that? Where did you find the pieces to fit together?
The inspiration really came out of trying to find something that was attached to a need, and I feel like 3 people dying every hour in America is huge. 85 deaths every single day is huge, and I feel like the more people learn about it, the more it can change the world. You know?
Some of those names you mentioned are Delta College students, right? Under Meredith Dean.
Yes, some of the writers in the work are Delta College students, poets.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. Brochet, thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to get set up for debate, so we need our debaters up here. And while we're setting up, I'm going to introduce the kind of how the parliamentary debate works. So what we'll have is the professors versus the students. And we don't want to bias anybody, but you are on the professor side, correct? Okay, good. That's good to hear. So on the professor students, we have a resolution. In your program, you can see that the resolution states, the college financial aid system is broken in California. So the affirmative side will be the professors. And the professors have to support and prove this resolution true. They don't have a choice. They have to prove that the college financial aid system is broken in California. Okay? So the way that it'll work is we'll have a 5-minute opening speech. The opening speech should set up, there's like basically 3 things that should happen in that opening speech. We should find out what are the definitions, right? What does broken mean? Well, we're going to find out what broken means, okay? Second thing we should figure out is what's the criteria? How are we going to weigh this debate? And the final thing we're going to find out is what are the arguments in support of the debate. So that's the first speaker. Then the opposition, the students get to go. And the leader of opposition comes up and says, no, everything you just heard is wrong. That's their job. Just say it's all wrong. And then here's why it's wrong. And not only is it wrong, let me give you some evidence why it's wrong. And then they'll sit down. And then we'll come back to the professors. And the member of government will come up and go, no, everything that you just heard is wrong. What my partner said was right. And of course, we're going to win this debate. And then we'll go back over the opposition, and they'll do the same thing. No, you're wrong, we're right. We're going to win this debate. And then finally, at the end, kind of like at a trial, the summation, the opposition gets the first summation, or we call it a rebuttal. They'll come up for a couple minutes and say, this is why we won this debate today. And when they do that, they cannot introduce any new arguments, no new evidence. It's kind of like if you're on trial. At the very end of the trial, the defense attorney can't get up there and go, oh, by the way, I have some new evidence we need to consider. You can't do that. So they just get up and they say why they won. And then the final speaker will be the professor's side, and then they have 2 minutes to say why they won. Does that make sense? Now, in debate, we don't just sit there quietly, or you can, but it's kind of nice if you participate in the debate. So we don't really have anything to knock on here. If you agree with a point that's being made, it's customary to knock in agreement, but it's kind of hurts to knock on these chairs. I've already tested this, right? It hurt. So what you can do is, if you agree with something they say, you can say, here, here. So let's try that out, okay? We'll try it out just to make sure you understand how this works. The professors at Delta College are great. Yeah, I didn't feel it either. Okay. We should try it one more time. The professors at Delta College are great. There we go. Yes. Beautiful. Now, if we say something that's not so nice, not that it's not true, it has to be something that's offensive. So don't say it just to say it. If we say something offensive, then you can say shame. And you don't say it loud. You don't go shame, shame. It's shame, shame. Kind of under your breath, right? Low level, okay? So should we try that one out? We'll say something about Kat. Kat, you look horrible today. Oh, very good. So we're going to get things started, but first let me introduce our debaters today. And first we'll go with the faculty side. On the faculty side, we have Dr. Bill Ferriolo, and Dr. Ferriolo comes to us from State University of New Jersey, and also the PhD at University of Oklahoma. Dr. Ferriolo. Professor Kathleen Bruce, she's from right down the street, UOP grad. All right. Then our two students on the opposition. Who's going to be the leader of op? Okay, our leader of opposition is going to be Nicholas Aguirre, Stag High School. Hey, Stag. And our member of opposition, Adam Smith's from Sierra High School in Manteca. All right. So let's get it started with the Prime Minister's speech, 5 minutes. Dr. Ferriolo, tell us why is the college financial aid system broke in California?
Okay, well, thank you for that introduction. Let me hit my timer here so I know just how much time I have. Now, the proposition that we're here to discuss and to debate is whether or not the financial aid system in the state of California is broken. We are going to argue that it is. They are going to attempt to refute our arguments, and you are going to judge. You are going to determine which side has better made its case. The criterion for judgment is the preponderance of the evidence. If all things considered, if we have made a better case than they have, we win. If not, then they win. I think the only term that needs to be defined regarding the proposition is California's financial aid system broken is the term broken. Broken is sort of an inherently ill-defined term. What does it mean to say that a system is broken? Well, it means it's dysfunctional in some sense. It's failing to adequately serve its intended purpose or desired purpose, or to meet expectations. We've all encountered systems that we regard as broken, but I thought I would illustrate the concept of brokenness with something a little bit more simple than a system. I have here as you can see, I have a broken coaster. An ex-girlfriend gave me this coaster for my birthday. This is only one reason she is an ex-girlfriend. She gave me a coaster for my birthday. So now, you'll notice that this coaster has not ceased to exist, right? I could probably use a weapon, but let me hold still. I could probably carve somebody up with one side of it. I could probably rest a drink on, one broken end of it. But this is not what I expected. It's not really what I need. It's failing to satisfy me. This coaster is broken. So if it turns out that the financial aid system in California is like that coaster, then I think that's in our favor. I'm going to present to you. Sure. Or not. You're cutting into time. My definition is from my experience in the world. I live and breathe, sir. I live and breathe. So, I'm going to present three arguments. They're going to be rather brief, given that we're running low on time. I'm going to present three arguments that the system is in fact broken. In the first argument, I'm going to attempt to convince you that there is massive and pervasive waste in California's financial aid system. That is related to my second argument. I'm going to try and demonstrate that waste is just one factor that leads to tremendous debt and default on that student aid debt. And the debt and the default are a couple of factors that lead to exacerbating an education and wealth gap, cuts to social services among them, education. If our financial aid system actually results in cutting education spending, I think we can make a good case. It's a broken system. It's dysfunctional. It's not set up by our design. First of all, that first argument regarding pervasive waste, up of 25% of all recipients at community colleges fail to make satisfactory progress, according to the Fresno Hechinger report in 2011. This typically goes on for at least 4 semesters, 2 years worth of instruction. Default on these loans is obviously very common because they don't make progress. They don't get a degree. Having no degree, they're not marketable. They can't get a job. They can't pay back the loan. 70% of community college So this results in massive debt, approximately $14,000 of debt for every UC student, approximately $11,000 of debt for every CSU student. That's from the California Post-Secondary Education Commission. Many of them get no degree, so are not marketable. This ruins their finances, and of course the cost gets passed on to the taxpayer. It gets passed on in the form of tuition hikes. It gets passed on in the form of cuts to services, among them education. And this, of course, increased stratification within education. 75% of students from families earning over $50,000 went to college. Less than 43% of students from families earning less than $30,000 went to college, according to advisory student financial assistance. Don't go to college, and there's even less school. The haves are able to go to college degrees, make themselves more marketable, whereas the have nots are not. And no permanent underclass. He's beeping at me. I think I'm done. Thanks.
All right, hi everyone. You forgot the level of gift your ex gave you. Look, you could put it back. It could work.
Broken in.
All righty. Here in debate, we have something called map, meaning where I'm going to go. We're first, our side wants to first talk about the definitions. We don't agree with their definitions, especially when it's from, he provided a level except for where he got his definition, his own experience. So we're going to talk about the definitions, that we're going to go into their case stuff, everything Dr. Varela said. Then we're going to go with two counter contentions. Let's go. First, on definitions, dysfunctional or inadequate. I think as people, we understand the term broken to mean ineffective. It's not working. Let's get dictionary.com, working order, the free dictionary, functioning, Oxford English Dictionary, dissolve to me would mean, of course, non-existent. Dictionary.com, unable function. Those are the definitions we should be looking at. To say that it's dysfunctional or inadequate is not right, especially when we look at statistics provide that show that students continue to have success. Let's go for real. Talks about these students in debt and default. That no financial aid actually keeps people able to get financial aid. What do they do? They take out loans. They take out big loans that are like high interest rates that they have to pay back. That is how students get in debt. So we would actually argue the opposite. Financial aid keeps students out of debt. I'll take your point in a second. The statistic gives out about 25% of Pell Grants fail to meet satisfaction. Should now be like kaput, doesn't work. I mean, that doesn't make sense to us. I'll take your question.
But our argument is not everyone gets financial. Like the middle class, two should still have to take out student loans.
Right, but the argument made that financial aid is broken, meaning not working, is not correct. Is it flawed? Are there problems? Are there things that need to be tweaked? We will absolutely concede that. But they need to prove that broken means is irreparably damaged, that it is not working. That means if it works for even one student, the system is working. And as Dr. Ferriello pointed out, 25% are making the grade. That means 75% are. That means the system is working. Let's move now to let's face it. But let's face it. That's not the truth. Majority of people coming to Delta, and majority of people who are in the UNC and talk about that. We're implying that if one student gets it, it works. But guess what? Based on Dr. Ferriolo's own statistics, 75% of people are making the grade. Only 25% aren't. What do? We tell the 75%, well, we can't give it to everyone, and not everyone's passing, so somehow that's your fault, so we should get rid of the financial aid system, and it's broken. No, it is not. Let's move on. Let's see.
Shame.
Are we talking about your dress today or attire? No. All right. Contention 1. Here we go. Student success. The A point is the with financial aid, students are able to find success and earn degrees. The B point is going to be the data. First, at Delta College, the 2009-2010 year showed that out of 7,727 students who received financial aid, only 4.3% of students didn't finish and didn't complete their term. That means that only 329 students performed badly. That means the overwhelmingly over 7,000 students who got financial aid, the system works for them. The 2011 year, 4.8% of students didn't work out that year. Let me give you the number. 9,249 students received financial aid. 409 didn't really do that well. They dropped their classes, etc. So that means for the over 8,500 students, the system's broken. No, it's working for those 8,500 students. Fall 2011, out of the 6,798 students who got financial aid, only 2%, 146 students dropped classes last fall and didn't maintain it. That means the system is not broken. That means students are passing and are getting their education. The second data point here is going to be that of the state. If we look at the UC and CSU points, Dr. Ferriolo provided this argument about the Pell Grant, right? Which is fine, but let's look at the financial aid system as a whole. The statistics are even lower because the CSUs and UCs, first of all, go off of people who are performing well. They're not taking people who are 1.9 or 1.5. They're taking people who are 2.0 and higher. And let's face it, if it's a UC, they're really probably taking people who are 3.0 and higher. So when we see that we have lower statistic rates at the UC level, that students are passing and getting degrees, that then means that they are able to go on further to their degrees. Counter contention 2, the A point is going to be the claim. The who are to non-resident citizens of California. The B point is going to be the data. Recently, AB 130 and AB 131 permits students to qualify for resident tuition under AB 540, which now means that non-resident, undocumented students have the opportunity through financial aid to also pursue their education. This means the system is not broken. If you're arguing that the system is broken, then that means that students aren't able to further themselves in their career. The warrants for both of these points state that students then are able to further themselves and provide for a better life, not only for themselves, but their family and their community. You just won't be voting for the affirmative on this. Like, come on. All right.
At least someone likes my outfit. Nick's all bagging on me. Okay, so I'm not going to give a roadmap. I'm just going to talk. So the opposition seems to think that if one person in all of California, there's a lot of students, that as long as they get financial aid, then it's not broken. That's really, you think that's a fair definition of broken? Seriously? This is what we're going for? This is your logic?
Broken means it's not working.
It's not working. Okay, I could have sworn that that's what a PhD doctor said, who you said wasn't credible, which, by the way, you should take that as a personal insult. I'm just saying, I think that is pretty credible.
The source.
The problem with the argumentation from the student team is that they're just not getting to the crux of the argumentation that my partner provided in the first speech. Our second contention was really going after that we really need to hold financial aid because it gives opportunities to those. We need to keep fixing it because it denies a lot of people financial aid. For example, the people who are like middle class don't have access to financial aid, and their parents don't make enough money to pay for them to go to school, so they end up getting in all that debt that you guys refer to. Sure.
Did you guys have any statistics at all? You provided a lot of statistics. How many students aren't getting this, the lower middle class students? Do you have a statistic on that?
Okay, hey, everyone in this room, raise your hand if you don't qualify for financial aid because you or your parents make too much money. Okay, awesome. So when you're looking at transferring to a university, how many of you that just raised your hand are also looking at taking out loans in order to afford that education? Okay, Nick, is that your statistic? Is that good enough for you? Does that meet your requirement? Awesome, good job. Okay, so what our problem is with that, you are disparaging the middle class, and you are essentially setting up a dichotomy where you're only going to have an upper class and then a low class, which is why you hear in the news sometimes people referring to the middle class is disappearing. What they are not arguing is how the middle class is not disappearing, so they're completely not even refuting our argumentation. I have a couple reasons that I'd like to extend from Professor Ferriola over here. Why the middle class is essential. First, the middle class is essential to shaping public opinion. If we look to the professions that the middle class individuals get into after college, they get into professions like journalism. They are commentators, they are writers, they are professors, they're economists, and they are scientists. Essentially, the middle class is where most of us, all of our information to help us shape our opinions about what is going on in our world. Without that information, all of our information that would come from the upper class, and we would not have the knowledge. And the reason why we were able to break down feudalism and get out of the structure where we lived as a century is because the middle class emerged and was formed, and we had the knowledge and we could actually compete with those who were on the upper echelons of the social ladder. The second reason why the middle class is important is because of economy. Middle class is known for taking out more loans, and if you're in the upper middle class or just even in the middle of the middle class, you tend to pay back those loans. So it's essential to the banking industry and also to keep capital going. Also, the middle class has a lot of purchasing power. They have more purchasing power than those who are on the lower rungs of the socioeconomic ladder, and also they make up the bulk of supporting the service industry. It's really the middle class folks that go to Red Lobster. You don't see like Bill Gates going to Red Lobster to eat. You see people who are going to middle class. So you basically are supporting a service industry which is essential to a lot of students. How many of you work in the service industry as a student? The reason why you're paid is because we have a middle class who goes and pays for those services to be had. Also, I would like to note that for you guys trying to say that we aren't citing our source of broken, even though we cited all of our statistics were cited from the Post-Secondary Education Commission and the Hetchinger report, and then you cited a newspaper article also. Yeah, Fresno B. You guys had a lot of statistics about Delta Community College, like 8,500 students, 429, which you're not citing your source, which I understand you have the source. I got that same one, but you need to cite it for the audience. I'm not going to give that one to you. So I would like to agree with their counter contention. They talked about the California Dream Act. I think the California Dream Act is awesome. It's crucial. It's giving, we have a lot of undocumented workers in California, and those undocumented workers have a lot of children that are in California. They've been denied financial aid in the past because they don't have a social security number, which is one of the very first things you filled out on a FAFSA form. I completely agree with them. The fact that the DREAM Act just passed, I believe it was in August of 2011 or 2011, 2012. Wow, it's in the future. It's really, yeah. August of 2011. It should highlight that our financial aid system is broken and it does need to continue to be fixed. Because right now we have the Cal Grant is thinking about raising its GPA requirements, or I think is actually going to raise its GPA requirements to 2.75. So that's going to further limit the, you went 10 seconds over, dude. That's further going to limit the amount of people that can have financial aid, and it's going to put a stress on loans that people are going to, that are increasingly going to default on. Therefore, we need to continue fixing the financial aid system.
Did I get that paper too? That one, yeah. This case. Hello. All right. I don't speak with mics usually, so this is weird. Take the same order she went, see how I do.
That was me.
See how I do. First of all, a blanket of thank yous for everyone coming here. Of course, Dr. Ferriolo and Kat have taught me a lot about
philosophy fallacies, which they're committing right now. And then, of course, my debate coach as well. So first, under the argument of definitions. Now, my colleague came up and he told you 4 source definitions that mean out of order, not functioning, dissolved. Even UrbanDictionary.com says unable to function. Even Urban Dictionary realizes this is common sense, and they fail to realize this definition. They're going to lose this debate because of it. Their only response to my partner's clear analysis of how they have a bad definition is that a PhD professor's claim is better. Just because he has a PhD and studied for many years, good for you, that's cool stuff, but he is not a credible source. This is a fallacy called appeal to authority. Simply because he knows better than us on some issues does not mean he has a better definition of broken. So you're going to disregard their garbage definition. You're going to look at our 4 definitions, which essentially mean the same thing as the primary means to vote for the negative on this case. And their definition is of inadequate makes it seem as if financial aid has to pay for every student, and that's just a bad definition to look at. Under their contention 1 of massive waste, they simply claim that many are denied financial aid, but at the point where my partner makes clear analysis that 75% of the people who do get it make great use of it, i.e. get accepted. It's right, they're moving in CSU, UC systems, that this is in fact not broken, but it is exceeding and is succeeding in its mission. They go on to say that the middle class is losing out simply, we're losing out, we can't get as much financial aid simply because, this is really short, I'm like crooking my neck. All right. They claim the middle is losing out simply because we can't get financial aid. I think the middle class is losing out for other reasons. How about number 1, a lax tax policy that allows massive amounts of loopholes for which the rich can hire a crap ton of accountants or tax people, and then they get to execute those loopholes. GE last year got like a $500 million or $1 billion refund. It wasn't billion. It was million refund, and then the year before was like 250 million. This is equity. Even PG&E got a pretty fat refund too. Secondarily, the loss of the middle class can also be attributed to the loss of manufacturing jobs over that same 30 years caused by those same bad trade policies. So at a point where they try to connect financial aid and the lack of access to it to the middle class to the loss of it is just a fallacy. There's no connection there. And furthermore, my reasons are what actually leads to the lost middle class, not this strange connection. Question?
Are you arguing that the president, Robert Oregon of San Francisco State University, who just PBS middle class is systematically priced out of our campuses in California? Are you saying that's wrong? That's really GE's fault?
I'm saying in San Francisco, they got some crazy ideas, and we shouldn't just take that as fact.
Wait, but how much is the president?
Oh yeah, and I'd like to ask also, how much does the president make at that school? Isn't he part of the people I'm talking about? Administrators make a crap ton of money. Jeff Marcy, how much is he getting paid? $250,000? $250,000. That's the problem. It's high cost of administration and teachers. Teacher salaries are way too high. That is what is the problem here.
That is an ad hominem circumstance.
That's an ad hominem fallacy.
Keep going.
Financial aid is the only thing keeping the middle class afloat. So you're going to see it. This is succeeding, and that is why we're winning. Secondary, okay, let's see, they got 11 debt, no, it's great, yeah. On to the counter contentions, which we brought up. They essentially concede our first counter contention, where my partner brings up how few people are actually dropping from Delta College after they acquire financial aid from us, and that is a statistic to look to. What is it? Only 4.3% of people in 2009, 2010, 4.8, and only 4.8% of people in 2010 to 2011. I need some water. And so we can see these are meaningful statistics. They don't address this at all. As per the rules of the debate, they drop this entire argument, and they're conceding this, that we are in fact winning on counter contention one. You're going to vote here as an audience. You're going to look here. You're going to say, people aren't dropping classes and they're getting financial aid. There is not waste there. The system is not broken. You're going to vote for the neg based on this issue. But on what they do respond to is counter contention two, saying they concede this, that this highlights that the financial aid needs fixing. Yes, you can fix something, but I was going to draw an analogy here. I can't remember. Yeah, which is the point. They acknowledge that it can be fixed. It's not broken. It's merely flawed. And you're going to cross-apply my earlier analysis about how they really don't have a good argument on the definition. And you're going to look here as a point to vote counter contention two, where the DREAM Act is actually a perfect example of how the system is succeeding for individuals, being a lot more inclusive to people, and you're going to vote neg.
Oh, 2 minutes, yeah? This is going to be quick. All right, if you're actually buying the affirmative's argument that somehow financial aid system is like lessening and ruining the middle class, then that is just asinine. And here's the reason why. Financial aid is the only thing keeping people in the middle class and being able to enter the middle class and being able to aspire above the middle class. If you actually think that financial aid is broken and is not working, then absolutely at the end of the day when we decide who won, you're going to be voting for these great professors who are very intelligent but are missing the point, which is that it is not broken. There are flaws. There are tweaks like the California DREAM Act bills that were passed last year, AB 130 and 131, things that can be fixed to make the system better. Like our Constitution says, to make it a more perfect union, to make the system better. But to act as if it is broken is wrong, especially which I'm assuming one, if not both of them, probably got financial aid throughout their life. They are the ones who got financial aid and are now able to teach us. I mean, how many of our teachers got financial aid? Go and ask them. The system is not broken. And if people choose to take out loans because they want to go to a more expensive school or they want to go to their dream school or because they want to have more money to spend, then that is an individual's choice. When they drop our counter contention one of the student success here alone at Delta College, we are winning that argument. The system is not broken. We saw minor statistics of people dropping and not completing. That does not mean the system is broken. That means we have some bad apples in the system, yeah? Counter contention two, we clearly show that the system is bettering itself by passing legislation that helps benefit more people. Poor people, low-income people, they're trying to make it seem like, oh, the financial aid system, it doesn't help everyone. Clearly it does now because it wasn't helping undocumented people who were poor, who couldn't pay the tuition fee, who had to pay like $300-400 a unit. This works. There are flaws. We've conceded that from my first speech, but it absolutely works. You won't be voting for these great professors over here. You're going to be voting for the students. The students who have to deal with the high rising tuition rates, not the professors who are upset that they continue not to get their pay increases. I said it, yeah, I did.
Okay, I'll be delivering the closing summary for the professors team versus the flying fallacies team. That last thing you heard there was what we call an ad misericordiam, or an appeal to pity. The poor students, they're the ones who are suffering. Vote for them, not these rich professors who got financial aid. By the way, of course, I didn't get financial aid in California. I went to school in Oklahoma, and we're talking about California, but forget that for now. The claim is that California's financial aid system is not wasteful. After all he says if it only fails 25% of Pell Grant recipients, well, then it works 75% of the time. If your car works 75% of the time, would you regard it as broken? Right? I would. They also conceded that the system is flawed and needs fixing. What kinds of things need fixing? I don't know. I think broken things need fixing. And by the way, I was caught off guard. I was not aware that there would be obnoxious questions during my presentation. So I just came off with a snotty response. I live and breathe, I live and breathe. But the fact of the matter is that definition came from the freedictionary.com, and I think it's a fairly common one. They also seem to be assuming that student loans are not part of the financial aid system, which I find odd. Grants are not the only form of financial aid. Student loans are financial aid, and student loans are what lead to the massive debt, the default on the debt, which leads, interestingly enough, to this vicious cycle I referred to. You get students who take out these loans, they make no progress, they don't get degrees, so they don't have marketable skills, they can't get jobs, they don't pay back the loans. What happens? The taxpayers get their taxes hiked, you get your tuition hiked, and government cuts what? Spending. They cut social spending on education. So our financial aid system leads to cuts to educational spending. If that is not a broken system, ladies and gentlemen, the drinks are on me.
Okay, so first of all, we want to give a round of applause for that. That was a great debate. Good job. Spirited, fun, yes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find out who won. So this is what we'll do. First, we'll take a vocal vote, and if it's close, then we'll divide the house. First, by just a normal yes, I agree. Who thinks the professors won? Yes. Good, okay. And our students? I think it's pretty resounding. Another victory for the professors. Congratulations, professors. Good job. In closing, thank you very much for coming today. We want to thank our professors team, our opposition team, our speech and debate students for showing up today. If you are interested in speech and debate, you'd like to become part of the team, the people making it happen, come see us. We're in Holt 410. Appreciate you being here. Spirited, fun, yes.